Welcome back, everybody. I am Everything Coding, and we are back with part 3 of the Python 3 for Beginners tutorial. Today we will be covering strings. Now, just a tiny bit of a recap. Last time I said that a string was a group of characters, so that could be letters, numbers, or symbols inside of quotation marks. That is what a string is. So, we also learned about variables and a little bit about math and just the operators that you can use for math. So, today we are going to be doing strings and all the things you can do with strings. So, I'm going to set a variable called string, and I'm going to set that equal to, I'm going to have first underscore name, that's the name of my variable, and we'll set this to Bob. And we will have a second variable called last underscore name. Set that equal to Smith. So we have these two strings, but say I want to print them. Well, first, you'll notice if I print first underscore name, and then I print last underscore name, and I'll put a space in right between there. Basically what's going to happen is it's going to send me Bob, and then on a new line, Smith. That's important to know that Python prints stuff on new lines, so that when you print stuff, you know that you have to combine them, or concatenate them, which is what we are going to be talking about today. So I'm going to get rid of this print right here. And basically, so we have our variable first name, and we set that equal to Bob, the string Bob. Then last name, set that equal to the variable Smith, but I have a space in here, and that's for a reason. Basically, what string concatenation is, so remember how in math 2 plus 2 is 4? Well, I'm going to add these two strings together. So basically, all the syntax is you print, and then your variable name, your plus sign, and then your variable name again. And if you see, I print this, what happens is on the same line, that's important to know as well, Bob Smith was printed because we combined these two strings right here. But it doesn't necessarily have to be with variables. So say I print a string Bob, and then I add that to another string, Smith. You'll see that it doesn't just work with variables, it also works with strings itself. So if I press F5, same thing gets outputted as Bob Smith. So now that we've learned a little bit about concatenating strings, so adding them together or combining them is a better word to use, we can also do some other cool little things with strings. So there might be a little program you have to write for something. You never know what you really have to do. And say we gather someone's input, which we'll learn about that probably next. I'm thinking next episode. I want to separate all these in different little parts so that you guys can understand and have more of like a grouping together, so that if you need to look for something, you can always click on the video and learn something about just one specific topic. So we have our first name, which is Bob, and then our last name, which is Smith. Now, there were two reasons why I put a space in between here. One was obviously so when you add these together, you can see that it's Bob space Smith. Another one is for something I'm about to show you. So we're going to print last underscore name, but instead of printing last name, we're going to print the length of last name. So basically, what print does, or not print, what the len is how you would do this, and the syntax is len and then parentheses and the thing you want to find the length of. So in this case, I want to find the length of my variable last underscore name, and like I always have it, it's set to space Smith. So if you can count the letters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters in Smith, but we have a space. Now in Python that counts as one number. So I'm going to print that, and it printed 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 letters in Smith, and 1 space. So it printed me the integer of how many characters are in the string space Smith. So I could just replace last name with first name, and you'll see it will print me 3 because there are 3 letters or 3 characters in the string Bob or first name. So there's one thing to do in with strings. So we've covered concatenation, which is combining strings, and then also finding the length of strings. Now, say we want to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and print, so we have first name. I'm going to go ahead and print first underscore name. Then I'm going to do square brackets. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to slice a string. So say I only want BO. Well, in Python, you start counting from 0. So instead of counting like normal, you'd go 1, 2, 3. Well, in Python, you go 0, 1, 2. Well, say I only want BO. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to only print the first 2 letters of the first name string, or Bob. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to start as the first index, which is this, the first character, B, and you want to end at O. Now what happens is you count 0, 1, so you'd think that 0, 1 would do this. So you print, but you realize it only prints B. That is because Python, so we did 0, 1. Well, this right here, O, is the first, or the second letter, which is the one we wanted to stop at, except Python works it so that it stops in between. So this is where we start, 0, so we start here, and then we go 0 to 1, and then 1 to 2. So we want to replace this 2 with, or the 1 with a 2, so 0 to 1, 1 to 2, and then we go ahead and print, press F5. Now we have, it prints our first name, which is Bob, then it prints our first name, but we slice the first 2 letters of our string out, so now we only have BO. So say I want to go ahead and print, we'll take out the space. Yeah, let's take out this space. So we print our last name, but we don't want to print the first letter. We want to take out the space in Smith. So we do 0 to 1. So we start at our first character, and then we want to go ahead and do the end of Smith. So we're going to go ahead and instead of doing 2, we could count, okay, well, 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6. We could go ahead and do 1 to 6, which should print out Smith with no space. But in Python, an easier way to do this is we can go ahead and print, we just leave a colon. Now what this does is it prints to the end of the string. So if 1 and then colon is the same thing as doing 1 to 6 in our case, which is just SMITH. Well, 1 to colon starts, this is the beginning character that you want to start, and then this is the end of the string. So if I just print this, it prints the exact same thing out, and it's just an easier shortcut. Now say I want to print the beginning, but I want to only, or we're going to remove this space right here. So I want to go ahead and print 0, we'll do SMI. So instead of starting from 0 like we did before, we don't have to do that because it's just like we had before, except it is just starting from the beginning instead of going to the end. So we have 0 to 1, 1 to 2, and 2 to 3. So we have nothing and then colon 3. So then we press F5, and what happens is we get printed SMI, which is exactly what we wanted to get printed before. So you could put a 0 here, but there's no point if you're starting from the beginning. And then if you're going to the end, then you just do where you're starting from and where you are ending to, which is just the end of the string in our case. So then you press that and you get Bob Smith. So that's cool and all, slicing strings, combining strings together. So we'll just go back to here, plus last name. Okay, cool. So a couple other things you can do. Say somebody's mad at me and they want to scream, or put in all capitals our first name. Say my name's Bob. Well, actually, so we can do first underscore name. Now what you're going to want to do is do a dot and then type in upper, and then make sure you do the parentheses. Now what upper is basically a function built into Python, and it doesn't have any parameters, but you have to put what you want to go in upper before you put the dot upper. Now if I run this, you will see that Bob was printed in all capitals. That is because we used the dot upper. Now say my name is Bob in all capitals, because I guess my parents were weird or something and just named me Bob in all capitals. We can go ahead and do dot lower. What this does is it lowers everything. So we're going to go ahead and change this back to Bob and put that back. Put that back. And we are going to, instead of lower, a cool thing is, say I'm all lowercase or whatever, and I want my first letter to be capital. Well, obviously we could just go in and change it ourselves, but say there's an instance where you get input and somebody doesn't type it in, the beginning of their letter is capital. Well, what we can go ahead and do is do dot title and then parentheses open and close. Press F5 and it automatically capitalizes the first character in what we want to do. But title, how it works is, so we do Bob Smith is cool. Well, what title does is it actually capitalizes the first letter in every single word in that string. So that's just something to keep in mind there. And yeah, so basically things we went over in this video. I know this is kind of long. We went over string concatenation. We went over how to slice up strings, finding the length of strings, using functions to capitalize lowercase and title it up. And also one thing I want to cover really quickly, this shouldn't take long at all. Say I want to print the last name, but somebody is really, a little kid. You know how a little kid always asks an adult, like, please, 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 over and over again when they want to get your attention or ask for something? Well, we can do the same thing here. So we're going to go ahead and print last name, which is Smith, but we're going to go ahead and print last name 10 times. So we're just going to multiply that by 10. And what this is going to do is, oh, invalid syntax. I accidentally put a 0 there. Whoopsies. We're going to go ahead, and it's going to print Smith, 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 Smith. It'll print Smith 10 times. And I'm not going to go ahead and count that, but it's a computer, so I trust it. And that is the last thing I wanted to do, so I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please comment them down below, and like the video if you enjoyed. And I will see you guys in the next one.